Opportunity to thank IoT Academy, who's doing a wonderful job in pooling all the talents, in this knowledge forum. Thank you, IoT Academy. And moving on to the topic for the today, leadership skills for teachers. Is it really required, not required? To what extent it is required? Yes, we'll see in this session. So we are all teachers and leaders for the day. We are all expected to lead by example in the way we act, we speak, and behave. We all are need to lead our students through challenging activities and rigorous learning. We take on additional leadership roles both inside and outside the classroom. Activities, events, and extracurricular programs that builds a positive college culture and often require additional leadership support from the teachers. So endless academic and social opportunities for the students within the colleges and benefit from the teacher initiatives and leadership capabilities. So with this introduction, let us see how we can bring a greater productivity by having leadership skills in teachers. So let us do the simple exercise for the day. Okay. Think about an excellent teacher you had in the past. He or she would have encouraged you, would have motivated you, and helped you to discover opportunities, who have incorporated all your talents, probably identified your talents. Okay. So perhaps you had, say, a football coach or maybe a mentor who have taught you to maximize, if it is a football, if he or she is a football coach, then to maximize your speed over your distance. But if he or she is a mentor, then to make you understand where you go wrong, to identify your gap in your skill set, and then to correct you. Or maybe, it was your family and friends teaching you to continue to push yourself to succeed in the areas that you love. This is something very interesting. So think of a teacher you had in the past. He or she would have encouraged you and motivated you. So if you could remember, that is so nice that you can list down in what way that he or she would have helped you out. Okay. It is a thought to ponder. And let's move on to how is a leader a teacher? Okay. A successful leader knows the value of personal interaction on a professional level. Of course, there are, always going to be exceptions to the rules. And of course, there are always going to be those leaders that are more worried about their own status and achievements rather than of those they influence. Here, if we want to influence, it is the students that we are going to influence. See, a desire to achieve is commendable, no doubt about it. But a desire to achieve is also momentarily good for the institution profits. But however, in the long run, if you see, this will not work, as there is a massive difference between managing to the point of the success and teaching people to find that success themselves. So moving on to the presentation, once again, a very good afternoon, and I will take you through to understand why teachers must have leadership qualities in the session and how to develop leadership qualities for effective teaching and leadership styles for teachers. A very famous quote that I really love it, where this doctor says that I was not always the best students with the highest grades, but my teachers, they saw something in me and tried to encourage me. Okay. So what is teacher leadership? Leading and teaching are intertwined. Both are, hand in hand. So every leader is a teacher and every teacher is a leader. And it is basically the art of leading the students. Leading here means it is influencing the students. So it's a great challenge for today's faculty to lead the kind of the students that we have today. And it's to define what is teacher leadership. Basically, it is a process of influencing your own students in identifying and working towards a common goal. So human connections and interactions are the heart of the education. We know that. And the role of the teacher for students is irreplaceable. So let us understand that And if you're wondering what kind of teaching skills a leader has, then you just have to listen on. Okay. So the teacher leadership competencies, which is published by the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards, very clearly states that teacher leadership is no longer optional. It is a part and parcel of the job. In addition, there is no shortage of the teacher leadership roles for educators. Teachers have endless opportunities to lead initiatives and programs on and off campus to enhance the educational experiences of their students. For example, I could say industrial visits are a great example, and how many of us make the best use of outside classroom experiences. When the bus is starting, we feel, oh, it is very hot. And when we reach there, making the students stand in line and then doing all the entry procedures and then checking for each and every student's their attendance. And then, we are involved in other things other than something called as a learning. So we teachers also must understand that we need to learn along with the students. So which will bring a greater impact because I have one student who have converted her industrial visit report into an internship, and she got an internship through the same company. And later she did a project also in the same company, which was very easy for us to, push through. So now tell me why we need teacher leadership, why teacher leadership is required. The notion of teacher leadership is not new, but recently it has been transformed. If you look into the theoretical part, it is there almost from 1920s. We had something called as from the leadership, it is a trait theory, then it is a behavioral theory, trying to identify what kind of behaviors are expected out of the teachers. And then now today it is the contingency theory. Like for example, we have the situational leadership, transactional, transformational. We will see all this in this session. So this National Professional Standards for Teachers, NPST, describes four basic standards. First one is establishing core values and ethics for the teachers. The teachers must have a professional knowledge and understanding, and they should also have a professional practice and competence and develop themselves and grow along with the institutions. So this is the basic requirements. Now, when I talk about the notion of a teacher leadership, that it is not very new, but recently it has transformed, which means that in the past, teacher leadership roles have been limited in scope and established a prerogative of college administrators. Teachers have long served as team leaders, department chairs, association leaders, and curriculum developers. In these roles, teachers have often served as we have served only as representatives rather than leaders who can enact change. And in this particular session, I wanted to highlight more on research-based understandings for the leadership skills for teachers rather than just giving you a particular test, which I have done in the last session. In the last session also, we had something in the leadership skills for teachers. We had three exercises. One was the psychometric test, which was done. So kindly, please watch the IoT Academy's, all their YouTube channels, all the sessions, which is having more connectivity towards the development of the teachers. Okay. In addition, leadership roles for teachers have traditionally lacked flexibility and required a lengthy ongoing commitment of time and energy. So I want to share only the research evidences as already shared with you. Recently, reports of the status of teacher education have issued a strong and compelling pleas for dramatically different roles of the teachers, which has been increased in terms of professional development, which is given by Carnegie in the year 1986. So while recognizing the centrality of teaching, the reports emphasize the need for teachers to extend their spheres of influence beyond the classroom. So this is a great challenge for us. So now, what is teacher leadership? Teachers typically define their character satisfaction in terms of their ability to be of service to others, and to make the difference in the lives of their students, which is given by Lee in 1988. I will share with you all the research evidences because similarly, the leadership considerations of teachers are grounded in their desire to improve the quality of teaching and the learning for all students. Studies have shown that teachers do not subscribe to traditional definitions or relating to their organizational hierarchy. We don't stick on to that. We have changed. What is the change? Let's see. Because today leadership roles have begun to emerge and promise real opportunities for teachers to impact the educational change without necessarily leaving the classroom. Teachers are now serving as research colleagues, development activities, working as advisor and mentors to new teachers, and facilitating professional development activities as master teachers. I could give you my own example, as I am the FDP coordinator here in this college, and I'm the MDP coordinator, I'm the research coordinator. Uh, she had mentioned in the introduction 2 scopus. Right now, I have 8 scopus. So, in the last 1 year, so it is something where we need to, and that too, it is along with the students. So where we need to improvise, we need to, and where we can focus, we need to focus because this is a lifelong learning. So in addition, teachers are forging a number of new and unique leadership roles through their own initiative by developing and implementing programs they personally believe that will result in a positive, say for example, conduction of the conference, conducting of the symposium. There are other lot of duties which is being expected out of the teachers. So I just want to, make you understand what do we know about the work lives of the teacher leaders. Can you post it in the group? What do you know about the work life of the teacher leaders? We are, easily telling that teachers all needs to be leaders. They should have the leadership qualities. It is easy to say, but what kind of life the teachers are having? Today's teachers I'm talking about, especially those who are working in self-financed institutions, autonomous institutions. What kind of, life? It is basically to understand the complexities involved in creating and implementing leadership positions for teachers. Okay. Several recent studies have attempted to document the life of teachers as they confront the challenges of leadership. These have been shown in the lead teachers typically to find new roles. Every day we are, into getting into new shoes, trying to find out how best we can play the particular role. So this is, not much of rewarding, and we also encounter a lot of constraints and tensions, which is mounting every day. So what do teachers and teacher leaders do? In one of the most extensive studies on the work of the teacher leaders, Lieberman, Sack, and Mines in the year 1988 focused on what teachers actually did when they assumed the leadership positions designed to assist other teachers. So maybe the HOD position is also a teacher leader position, and also the principal position is also the leadership position. Also the administrators. Once we become, well aware of the system and the procedures, how we do it, so we also become the teachers become the leaders, right? So what are the different things that they do? They are supposed to do is building trust and developing rapport, diagnosing the organizational conditions, because people, for example, in Bengaluru, for us, we have people coming from diverse background. Though it is a metro city, we need to understand the different kinds and varieties of stakeholders and dealing with the processes. Today, we did not have a supervisor for the exam, so today's process must be managed. And managing the work. Every day we need to manage because things are not the same every day. Building skills and confidence in others, which is a greater and tougher task, especially in terms of understanding the students. Okay, so all these are expected out of us. To what extent are we doing it? So this particular study, what I had shared with you, the research work, here the authors have concluded that restructuring college communities to incorporate leadership positions for teachers would require the teacher leaders to take certain actions. So, what actions we must take? We must have a non-judgmental value on providing the assistance to the students. And then modeling collegiality as a mode of work. How many of us encourage our own colleagues? Let us be, very true to our conscience. How many of us appreciate our own colleagues? So enhancing the teacher's self-esteem. So whatever work that we do, are we happy about it? Okay. And that is another measurement. And using different approaches to assistance. For example, if the students are coming during your class hours, during your food time, lunch time, so what kind of assistance are we able to provide in the actual sense, which is very, very important in order to understand and encourage others to provide a leadership quality to even our own peers. Okay. So most of the time, are we looking at our personal gains? And in the research, we are talking about complete research of the teachers. So in this research, the studies have shown that leadership positions can yield significant personal benefits to those involved, intellectual and professional growth, and decreased isolation. Decreased isolation, tell me how it will happen when you are going for, say, industrial visit or going for any of the FDPs outside your premises. So those are the times where you get to develop your own network. So you're not isolated. So there is no question of falling into depression or anxiety or the loneliness for the teachers. Correct? So we are able to mingle with everyone. So when you're talking about the personal gains, here the teachers have reported in their new leadership roles. We are very happy because personally also we are able to grow. So intellectual and professional growth, if you see, teachers have reported that their knowledge and skills in teaching has increased dramatically as a result of their involvement in leadership positions. Because once they are the BOS member or BOE member, they are able to give their suggestions in designing the curriculum. So curriculum has to be changed every year. In our college, we change it every year based on the conduction of the BOS and based on the inputs which is given by our alumni, which is given by the stakeholders, parents, and also the industry experts. So if that is there, then we will not have the isolation of the faculty members. So this is one of the research which is being identified. Teacher leaders report significant decrease in isolation as a result of opportunities, because all of us are getting the opportunities to work with others outside the classroom, because we are expected to go outside for the training programs also. Say, for example, we have different domains. In my case, I go to a lot of banks, to a lot of corporates in terms of the training sessions. And we are expected to get some grants, research work. So all these studies gives us better professional growth, I should say. Okay. And it also helps us in confronting the obstacles. While leadership roles can provide important benefits, they have also proven to be highly problematic. I'll tell you in what way it is problematic, because studies have shown that lead teachers confront a number of constraints. Our own peers will not agree to what you say. So as they learn to negotiate the new roles and the relationships. So time is very important for us, correct? So because as a leader or teacher leader, we report that time constraints significantly, it limits our ability to succeed, because we have to play the dual role as a teacher as well as a leader. So with additional responsibilities and with extra time, teachers often forced to make sacrifices that compromise their ability to be effective on both the roles. I have made a lot of, not compromise, sacrifices, I should say, when we are able to spend the time, at the same time understand sometimes that this time what you're giving for others may not be your quality time. So time is very essential in understanding and also developing the bond between all your stakeholders. The next comes the college culture. So a lack of support and encouragement from college administrators and teaching colleagues often, possesses the biggest obstacles for teacher leaders. So to conclude, I should say the teacher leader should have the following skills. This is the leadership style, what I'm trying to show you right now. But the teacher leader should have the following skills. Basically, it is empathy, it is analytical, it is adaptable, courageous, committed, and motivated. Let me see one by one. Okay. If it is empathy, let me, understand what it is empathy means. It is related to the emotional intelligence, okay, which fosters encouragement, kindness, and respect. It allows the students to guide collective responsibility, following the college practices and procedures and policies. When we are approaching, it should be, we need to have an open mind for accepting the policies. So this is something, which is called as empathy. And when we are moving on to the analytical, we are trying to, we are the teachers who are trying to assess the educational strategies and the quality of the resources. We are trying to build goal-directed learners and encourage the critical thinking individuals, and also have something called as a reflective practices. We should be rational problem solvers and be very adaptable. Adaptable is the third point, where we are able to adapt the curriculum content to correlate with the advancements in the modern society. When I'm talking about a curriculum adaptation, half of us are not available, are not able to adapt ourselves to the latest technologies. For example, there is a Google site. How many of us are well aware of posting all your learning materials in Google sites? Because every year in this college where I work, we change the syllabus as per the industry requirements. And whatever the changes that has been happening along the learning material, related learning materials are uploaded on the websites. At the same time, there is a Google site. I have my own blog as well as I have my own website where I can post, where the students can see during their leisure hours. They can see whatever the post, including all the training programs, plus the learning materials of the syllabus, their course, everything is visible to them. So it's easy to share the notes. How many of us still are having the old method of giving the hard copies to the students, making the students to write? Let's stick on to something, with the latest technologies. And very important point, the fourth one is the courageous. Courageous here means conducting inclusive conversations on social justice initiatives. Say, for example, how many of us focus on social issues? A lot of many families now today, we have single fathers, single mothers, and a lot of issues that are happening in the families, right? So how many of us focus on this and have a very healthy debate on family issues and topics? And let's teach the way to love, because the students today are in a different world with a lot of gadgets playing a major role in their lives. So let's give them, and this needs a lot of courage from our end to understand how the students are going to take it. Okay, because we are going to demonstrate resilience and determination for the students. Okay, and we also need to identify, as a responsible teacher, identify the gap which the system has. For example, here we may have certain gaps which is existing, which we are trying to bridge it along with the students. It could be, in terms of research, it could be in terms of consultancy, and it could be in terms of grant from the other bodies. Okay, and we always need to stay committed and motivated. This is understandable, but still we got to stay motivated and determined. Why? Because we need to make a difference. Every teacher is different. So how many of us, keep reminding about the vision and mission of our organization, this institution, to your students? Your own institution's vision and mission, how many of you teach, or how many of you make your students understand this is why is this institution's major vision and mission, and how many of you are falling in line with it? So we need to align that. It's not enough that we are talking only about the curriculum and the Bloom's taxonomy and program output or course outcome. No, this is very important. When we are making this, even to make our peers understand, then it is very easy to build or establish the last, that is the sixth point, communication and connection. So it's easy to communicate and connect and understand the student when they are talking something. You need to paraphrase, you need to meditate, try to understand what the other person is trying to say, and use a lot of conflict resolution strategies. We would have learned, collaborative methods, compromising methods, avoiding methods, accommodation methods, which is right at that particular situation, we need to incorporate. And there is something called as a love for learning. A love for learning can be created only by you, not by anybody else. Actively keeping the class material very modern and relevant. For example, keep a box file which is full of case studies. And please do not keep cribbing of small adjustments which is happening in the workplace. For example, your classes gets cancelled. You have something else to do? Yes. But if there is an additional class which is given to you, you don't want to say that, what am I going to do for the next hour? No. Keep a box file full of case studies which will help you to go discuss during in times of emergencies. And actively keep the class material which is very modern, because every day we are supposed to read the newspapers, collect the current issues, and ask the students some thought-provoking questions. Make the class more interactive, because when we are looking at the manufacturing sector, yes, it has improved from the Ford's manufacturing. For example, the way how they have designed the cars till today, the cars is completely modern. It is totally different. And every day there is a change. Every day there are suggestions. But in the terms of teaching, if you see, it is teacher-centric only till today. It has not become a learner-centric. So we have to create the learner-centric, because once we adopt the efficiency in our procedures, then that is going to be done. So continuously, so even after 23 years, if you see my teaching, I still ask in every alternate class, how was the learning experience? Because I seek for feedback. And the last point, if you see engaging the classroom and community presence, yes. Is it approachable for both for students and parents seeking further information? Is there any diversification in your curriculum content modalities? Are you entertaining and enlightening people, from other backgrounds? The main thing is you need to have something called as patience. I just wanted to give you an example of this ICICI Bank. It's a very great lesson. And I should say this is from HBR. The lessons at the office to the employees who served under. His name was, I could tell, the Kundapur Vaman Kamath. He was a teacher, I should say. But he didn't work at school or stand in front of a class. Instead, he delivered his lessons at the office to the employees who served under him during his 4 decades as a senior executive and then the CEO of India's ICICI Bank. Whether he was offering tips on stakeholder communication or whether he is explaining the importance of ambitious goals, Kamath created or treated each day as an opportunity to provide his direct reports with the customized master class in engagement. And over time, this approach transformed the company into a hothouse of leadership talent, accelerating growth. So ICICI became one of the most India's largest, most innovative banks, and Kamath has been credited with modeling the whole generation of the country's banking executives. Most of the cognitive psychologists, teachers, and educational consultants have long recognized the value of such personal interaction. He's been giving every now and then a personal instruction is given for the employees. Because if you are able to give for your students personal interaction, this fosters not just the competence or compliance, but mastery of skills and independence of thought and action. However, it is unusual to see this type of teaching which is employed in a business context. I should rather say that unforgettable lessons for teachers are to follow the professionalism, and following professionalism is like as teaching is not merely an extra for good managers. It is an integral responsibility. If you're not teaching, then you're not really leading. So this is a sad thing which I wanted to share with you today, because for teachers with advanced leadership skills, there are many opportunities in education that require visionaries with ability to lead, and teacher leadership roles goes beyond the classroom, as many college administrators and nonprofit organization leaders are former teachers were previously involved in education. Continuing the chain and building transformative educational setup, UGC has introduced the Academic Bank of Credits, ABC, and it helps the faculty to manage and check the credits earned by the students. So how many credits the students have earned? And basically, if you see the objectives of ABC, I can just tell you there are five different, I should say, the academic bank of credits. The first one is to promote student-centric education. Second is focus on learner-friendly teaching approaches. The third one is implement an interdisciplinary approach. And the fourth is allowing the students to learn the best courses of their interest. And the fifth one is to enable the students to learn at their own pace. So Academic Bank of Credits basically is a virtual and digital storehouse that contains the informations of the credits, which is earned by the individual throughout their learning journey. It will enable the students to open their accounts and give multiple options for entering and leaving colleges or universities. So there will be multiple exits and there will be multiple entries for, during their higher education tenure, and credits will be transferred through the same ABC seamlessly. Okay, so this is all about academic credits. Moving on to the four major educational leadership. What are the four major educational leadership styles that are present in today's world? It is the servant leadership. Servant leadership takes the focus from the end goal to the people who are being led. So there is no sense of the self-interest on the part of the leader who steps back and supports only the interest of the followers. Guidance, empowerment, and culture of trust in the process and in his or her followers. Followers means your students, assuming that those within the organization will align with its goal. So servant leadership is very important leadership style, but you can do that for your students at various point of time in order to ensure, for example, one great example that I could give you is Abdul Kalam. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir, has given us a lot of inputs on this, and this may not be applicable to the entire organization, but it will be to a certain extent because this is based on the personality traits completely about the leader and also the acceptance about the followers, that is your students or your stakeholders. Now, this is one way, okay? And education happens in the real world where unfortunately people have shortcomings. Yes, we do have the shortcomings. So servant leadership may not be applicable to the entire institution, but to a certain extent, yes, this leadership is very much favorable, which is giving a very great influence among the students category. The next is the transactional leadership. This is called as the give and take, which is a hallmark of transactional leadership, which is indeed modeled just like a business transaction. Of course, the employer and employee relationship is largely, very much transaction. It is all, under this give and take. So it only works if everyone is involved in this particular way. The next one is the emotional leadership, where transactional leadership is concerned primarily with the exchange of here it is services, exchange of services, whereas emotional leadership is concerned with the feelings and motivations of the followers, that is your students. So as a teacher or teacher leaders, be emotionally intelligent, and studies have proved that highly emotional, a high EQ, teachers who have a high EQ are generally very successful because they know how to balance their emotions in handling the situations with the students. And the fourth one is the transformational leadership. Here in this particular style, the transformational leadership takes from each of the other kinds of the leadership its best qualities and then uses those along with the deep sense of shared purpose to motivate your students. So while the other forms of leadership focuses on one singular aspect or the other, transformational leadership focuses on a holistic approach. It takes a broad view of the issues surrounding the leader and then uses those that are driving force to meet all the overall goals of the organization. So do you want to be a transformational leader? It is not that simple, but if you work hard or if you have a focus towards that, yes, it is possible. The other two leaderships may be applicable for the administrators, which is supposed to be called as a pace setting leadership. Pace setting leaders essentially focus on practicing of leading by example, both inside and outside. Some of the major administrators or some of the teachers, I should say, various teachers who have got the Nobel Prize for certain contributions to in their domains. Also, as in terms of their service, if you see, they all focus on the model to be both inside and outside the classroom. So they do it all, setting the tone of a college and inspiring other teachers by their skills, dedication, and by their achievements. The last one is the coaching leadership, where coaching the teacher leader take young and struggling teachers under their wings to be the mentor. This style of leadership is usually time consuming and requires much empathy and patience on the leader's part. However, it has a significant benefits to the teacher development and student academic process. So then it's a very interesting study that which we are trying to move. Here I have given this particular slide based on where giggers were once responding to the marketing conditions. Now they are creating the conditions. Gig economy is there into this, and this describes expanding labor market, which is comprised of the contract workers, which means that we have the visiting faculty, correct? We have adjunct faculty, we have the freelancers, and based on them the timetable is prepared based on their availability, the requirement, the time slot is given, so we don't have a choice. So we have the limited engagements about these kind of employees, and depends on how they do it. So independent work is growing with the internet and expanding from developed to developing economies as more of the world becomes digitally connected. So you got to understand that we are living in a VUCA world. It stands for VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's a situation where nothing is constant because change is the only thing which is constant. And change is unpredictable in these days. VUCA demands that you avoid both traditional as well as outdated approach and try to adopt the latest technologies to management and leadership. It is always, I've seen the older colleagues of mine, where the students will be teaching the teachers, which doesn't look good, right? So you need to be capable enough to understand what today's generation and accordingly learn and get yourselves updated. That will be really awesome when you go to the class, touching the smart board without taking the help of the students. Yes, making them understand these are the things which is available, showing them a video. And we also have one session for TED Talk. TED Talk is something which the students would love to listen, and it also gives them a lot of inspiration for them to understand that they in future as future managers, because I'm handling MBA and dealing with young managers. Half of the students are working students, and because they have taken up their internships, few of them have taken their projects, so they want to understand whether are we really applying all the theories with the practical concept. Yes, we are applying. So how do we, make them understand there are possibilities? But I just wanted to show you this diagram, which shows that this is also as per research that teacher leader efficacy is there in all these variables which is affecting the teacher leader efficacy. One is the principal's leadership style. If the principal is not agreeing with you, whatever you say, then there is a problem. And depends on your work culture. If the work culture is motivating, then your job is easily done. What do you have in mind? What do you want to give for your students? And the teacher leader's work is also a great task, I should say. How many of us like to eat pizza? I think everybody once in a while at least. Okay, so in this pizza diagram, we have this teacher's passion and purpose. We have one slice. Another slice is integrity. Another slice is vision and inspire. Another slice is empathy. Another slice is value and knowledge people. Another is prioritization. Another is self-efficacy and self-awareness. So the whole is, how many of us like to have one or two pieces? Very few. Feel like having the whole pizza, right? So it is in the similar case, we all of us need to have certain kind of the qualities that we need to pass it on to the students. So integrity and vision and impaired, thing to the students, we are supposed to share it with them. So planning and transacting the curriculum in a learner-centric way is the most important vision, I should say, which every teacher must have, because these are the expectations, and today's role of teachers is this, which is expected by most of the stakeholders. Teach in a learner centric way. How do we do that? Teachers of higher education institutions, especially members of the Board of Studies of universities, not only transact curriculum, but unlike the college education, they have a greater autonomy in designing the curriculum. So NEP is expecting us to design the appropriate curriculum, which means that we need to interpret in the light of NEP focus on learning and students. It is our duty to make the students active during the teaching. This is called as the teaching and learning practices, TLP, correct? So, by creating a space for critical thinking and more holistic, inquiry based, discovery based, discussion based, and analysis based learning has to take place for the students. For that, if you just got to be the leader, then it is as simple as that. NAP 2020's expectations are, it says that teachers' role in designing and transacting curriculum would be able to use students' narratives and ideas during the instructional process. How many of us ask the students, what is your idea in this? Yesterday I had a role play. Not only role play, it is supposed to be called as a reverse role play. Reverse role play is in the beginning, the two individuals who plays as a manager and as a subordinate will reverse the role after some time and play the role of the subordinate and the manager. So it's very difficult. Once you're already put in the shoes of manager, it is immediately after some time, you have to change to the role of a subordinate, which is difficult. So understand the difficulty of the roles, different roles which is played by teachers. We are trainers, we are researchers. Yes, so many roles we play. So we need to help the students to relate to the content by including anecdotes, cases, examples, and real life incidents in instructions. So it's not, you can tell me, madam, you're teaching, you're a behavioral scientist. It is easy for you to teach because you will be teaching on management principles or concepts, or you will be teaching behavioral science, OB, organizational behavior. So it's easy for you to give a lot of examples. Whereas we are teaching finance. Finance is an awesome subject where you can give, because I have both MBA and MCOM. I also have taught for MCOM students for last 8 years. So it is easy that you can have certain examples for teachers in terms of finance, insurance field related, and banks related. Very good examples you can, unless and until we are reading the Financial Times or the newspapers which is related to the accounts and finance. So when we read, we can pick up small case studies. I generally, whenever the moment I enter the class, the first day I'm talking about how many of us, because there is a psychometric test which talks about your first entry of the day into the class makes a lot of difference, and that stays forever in students' minds. Okay, so the first day I asked them, so what is their expectations from the teachers? So each one would tell accordingly, because each batch is different, each batch expectations are different. So accordingly, I will design, I will prepare the entire thing, and along with the lesson plan when you're doing it, put all the stuff, whatever you wanted to, discuss with the students, put it off together and keep it aside. So you don't have to have the tension throughout your semester. Design the activities that facilitate reflection and teamwork for collaborative learning. I also want to learn, so I will ask the student whether it's right, whether it is, doing it accordingly as per the syllabus. Yes. So suggest the reading materials. Not only stop with the examples, but suggest the reading materials and other resources in advance to students, and use the classroom timing for meaningful discussions on these. Develop topic-centered clubs and organize activities which is pertaining to science, which is mathematics, because behavioral science, my subject, for example, it is borrowed from different domains. We have borrowed from sociology, anthropology, psychology, right? So Max would have borrowed from actuarial science. We don't know, a lot of fields. So where extend your teaching and the learning materials to a greater extent where students find it very interesting, and that brings a greater influence you as a teacher leader. The second one is shifting towards the practicing formative assessment. So NEP 2020 expectations from the teachers regarding formative assessment of students is that teachers' roles are to shift from summative assessment to the formative assessment. Summative is, the formative is throughout. So it's a continuous learning and focuses more on the higher order learning, such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity must be there for the students, especially when they are taking up their exams. So Bloom's taxonomy, the RBT levels, gives us in setting up the question papers for us. It actually gives us a clarity for us to understand what level we need to give for the students. Okay, this is the second point. The third one to touch upon is using technology for strengthening and enhancing teaching and learning. I think I have given enough insight on this because 8 research publications this year is been with the students, and students are much more forward in their technology related, and they have this chat gpt which where the research paper is done at a faster way. I'm yet to learn. So no idea about the to what extent is the plagiarism, but these are all the latest techniques that we need to sit with the students and learn. So we are supporting them in terms of providing the knowledge, but at the same time, learning takes place for us also. So motivate your students to access the e-content for enriching learning. So e-content needs to be created by you. If it is created by you, the students will have a greater, respect and impact for you. That's Chat GPT is one, advanced method, and providing a learner support in this way. So engage in research and promote the research is another way of creating a strong foundation for the students. Engage and promote discipline-based as well as interdisciplinary research. Make the research a tool for making informed decisions. Use the research to shift education to discovery-based learning. Ask them, how do you do? Because the other day when I had been to, I should say this as an example, went to TTK, that is a prestige group, where we wanted to go for an exchange. Nobody would give exchange when you give the old cooker a new cooker. You have to pay some amount extra. What is the reason? Give live examples in such a way that the students understand and it imbibes your critical thinking. And at the same time, so far, we as ladies keep cribbing that, when the whistle is coming on top, there is an overflow of all the liquid. And now they have identified, after so many years, they have come up with a new technology where the water stays on top. So these are all small, small things where we can do. Ask the students to go for, find out why. Ask why this is happening, and aim to publish these kind of the research findings in globally recognized and leading research journals. You don't have to go for paid journals. Please do not give money and get your research articles published. It is not at all required. As far as you're skilled, as far as you're knowledgeable, you stay as a teacher for your lifelong, and that does not include providing money for giving others and then getting it published. Do not engage in such kind of activities because that will not provide any kind of benefits. You give 7,500 for your patent, first author, second author, third author. We are having all this, which is coming up. Let me be very honest and very transparent. This kind of attitude and this kind of practice will not stay for long. Let us not encourage, such things, because even in Scopus journals, we have plenty of free Scopus journals. I'm the reviewer for Indus Science Journal. Indus Science journals, half of the journals are free journals. So please search for free Scopus journals and try to write, even if it is a very concept written, a simple concept also will be accepted unless and until it has any advantage for the readers. Please think through that. And exploring avenues or engaging in continuous professional development for me as a teacher, for me as a leader, because I have to participate in seminars and conferences in order to exchange my research findings. In the introduction, she was telling 7 research papers. I have got the best research paper awards. It is all with cash rewards. So last year, again, I have got one best research paper award because this is something which motivates me. So what motivates you? So have that kind of search within you as a teacher, which is very important. And I think I have discussed 6 prime expectations of NEP 2020 from teachers who are teaching across the country. The faculty's roles, these expectations are to teach the learner-centric way, practice formative assessments, supportive students and learning, engage in research and promote research, usage of technology for teaching and assessment, professional development activities. So I just wanted to conclude by trying to pin down what makes an effective leader or a teacher that can be a little trying to eat up when we are, can we eat the soup with a fork? It is not possible. But a group of academics, can I do it independently? No. But as a group, I can, do it because, 2 plus 2 is a very basic synergistic effect. And please understand, no one approach is right for all the leaders. We need to have a proper strategy. And the most effective technique that we all you need to use is use of all these 3 types of leadership styles, whether it is democratic style to certain extent, and then participative style to certain extent, and also the laissez-faire style with the students for certain extent. So how to be a better teacher, reaching students in the 21st century, being able to connect with the students authentically is just one of the skills teachers needs to be effective. Learning to receive feedback, avoiding bias, and teaching students in an online forum also helps with the professional growth. I just want to conclude with this very beautiful quote. If a country is to be corruption free and to become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel that there are 3 key societal members who can make a difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher. The famous quote given by Abdul Kalam sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all, for your time.